Welcome to the Pawsome Companion, where pets are part of our family. I'm your host, Joanna Herrera, the founder of Coco and Bondi. I'm very excited to interview experts and pet owners to share their stories and insights so you can use them to take care of your babies.
When something is off, you feel it too. This is Georgia. She loves walks, beach runs and chasing the neighbour's sprinkler. But lately her limp got worse. Slower mornings, less tail wagging and no zoomies. Her humans tried everything. Then they found Rosehip Vital Canine, a natural anti-inflammatory backed by science. Just weeks later, Georgia was back on her feet. More comfort, more freedom and more of the dog they love. Because when your best mate's in pain, you'll do what it takes. Rosehip Vital. For joints, for life, for love. Visit rosehipvital.com.au to find out.
Hello, Vanessa. How are you?
Hello, Jenna. Yeah, good. Thank you.
Welcome to the Pawsome Companion.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Great to have you. So, Vanessa is a highly experienced physiotherapist with over 20 years of clinical practice and now a certified canine rehabilitation therapist. Vanessa began her career helping humans recover from injuries and return to the activities they love. But after seeing a gap in the rehab options for our fur companions, she set out to change that. She recently completed an intensive certification through the Canine Rehabilitation Institute in the USA and launched her very own practice, A Stronger Cause. She is here to share what dog rehab really looks like, how it helps, and what every pet parent should know about supporting their dogs around strength, movement, and well-being. Welcome, Vanessa, to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much.
How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, busy day, but good to be here and have Buddy and
Yeah, so tell us, who is this beautiful baby?
this beautiful dog is Buddy. He's a greyhound. He's a retired racer. He didn't actually do any race starts, but many of them don't. So he came through the adoption program. I've had him about 7 years now. And he loves to do his rehab and swimming and running and have a lot of fun like dogs do.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you were a physiotherapist in the past.
Yeah, and still am. Yeah.
And you are still are.
Yeah.
And now you're turning to be a physiotherapist for dogs.
Correct. Yeah. Canine rehab therapy is a thing. It's fairly small in Australia. It's a bit quite big in America and some places like UK and Europe. And obviously we have a lot of dogs in Australia and, dogs get injuries, dogs need surgeries, dogs need to improve fitness. So, my understanding really is the veterinary profession doesn't do a lot of that. It's kind of a new thing.
Yeah.
And, there's really a great transfer of physiotherapy, human physiotherapy skills into doing, the same types of techniques and exercises with our four-legged friends.
Absolutely. So you see this gap in the market.
Yeah, correct.
Did you have the opportunity to go to America to experience that, or what brought you to that idea to start?
My idea really was hanging around with dogs, my dogs, friends' dogs, and volunteering with the greyhounds. And it's like we see them get injured, and certainly we know that in the greyhound racing industry, they get injured from time to time. How can I help them? Because I can do these things with humans. So it was trying to match up what I do for a hobby and practicing my physio, and get now certified. And there's not many courses around the world, to be honest. And there's none in Australia at the moment at veterinary and physiotherapy level.
Okay.
So I found a course that is run from the American Institute, and they were doing some practical courses in Australia. So I've done that over the last couple of years, an online study, and then finished with my internship, which I chose to do in USA. There's only about 6 or 7 clinics in Australia that are qualified enough to be able to do it in Australia and none in South Australia. So I thought, well, I'm traveling anyway. If I can travel and do it over there at one of the best centres around. So that's how I completed that last year. And yeah, now I've launched my business and looking to help as many dogs as I can possibly do.
That is amazing. So So what, like, is that a big difference between rehab for animals and humans? Like, what is the
Not
difference there?
not a big difference. A lot of the techniques, like the manual techniques that we do with physio and joint assessment and spinal assessment, are quite similar. Pain management's a bit different. Obviously, they've got 4 legs and not 2 legs, so looking at how they're walking and running is a little bit different.
Yeah, of course.
But muscles are very similar. Many of the muscles and things and ligaments are called the same as what they're called in human. But some of the medical conditions that dogs have are the same as humans, but then there's quite a lot of different ones. So some of the veterinary medicine is a lot where I have to upskill, because it's different to human conditions. But the rehab and the exercise of, you just wave a treat in front of them and they do all sorts of fun things.
Absolutely. So, in terms of, I know that you started business, strong course. How long ago did you start this business? Obviously, you finished your course.
Yeah,
You decided to start, but you are doing it at the same time for children. So when did you start?
Yeah, I only started this year, so it's very new.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm in a transitioning from humans to canine while I'm, paying the bills, a little bit, but yeah. And for our registration as physiotherapists, there's a requirement to keep some human physiotherapy per year, for our registration. But that's a small amount, so I will keep doing private practice. And hopefully, I'm looking to be able to fill most of my time treating our dog friends. Because it's more fun.
I enjoy to see them. Absolutely. So what are the sort of conditions that you treat as part of rehabilitation, like most common ones?
Yeah, the most common ones really are things like dogs get injuries from different things. They run and collide with each other. They have, get run over by cars and things happen. They break their legs, sometimes they have spinal fractures, things like that, or bad cuts and lacerations. So they have a lot of soft tissue and musculoskeletal injuries. Sometimes they do things, jump and land. They jump out of the car and too quickly, or they land wrong, or they jump, up and down the stairs and they injure themselves just in their home environment. So those types of injuries we see and treat. Surgery is another really common one. Like ACLs in our knees that humans get quite frequently from sports and things. Some of the breeds of dog get prone to getting, they call it a CCL ligament. It's the same ligament essentially. And there's some genetic factors, and the disease processes are quite a bit different in the dogs, and the surgery is a bit different. But the rehab is essentially the same. We've got to get that knee moving to full movement. Yeah. We've got to get rid of the swelling. We've got to build up the muscles around the leg. We've got to get them walking on all 4, not just limping and lifting that one leg. And then obviously getting them back to running and climbing stairs if they have stairs at home and things like that, and twisting and turning. So the rehab part of that is actually quite similar.
Yeah.
Even though the disease process and the surgery is actually quite different. It's, but that's a very common thing. Other things dogs we see commonly are hip dysplasia and problems with their hip when they sit and they have one leg sitting out. It's common in different breeds like Labradors and so on. We see that a lot. The same with elbows. We have elbow dysplasia and the joint doesn't function properly.
Yeah.
So those have orthopedic surgeries. And commonly until fairly recent years, vets would send them home after surgery to just rest in a cage or a crate for 6 weeks and only be on a lead to go out to toileting. But we can do better than that as a society now. We have a lot more understanding of medical knowledge from humans. We absolutely can apply it to these guys to do the right movements and the right exercise, do some strategies, some different techniques to help with pain management as well. So, there's quite a bit of crossover there. And other things we see commonly are, one thing I'm quite interested in with the dogs is building fitness. We have, dogs that are just not getting enough exercise or just carrying too much weight. And then they have similar problems to humans. They have heart problems. They get diabetes. They get arthritis. Is quite common, osteoarthritis. And a lot of these things can be prevented and certainly better managed with weight management and better exercise and helping them
So
protect
do you
those joints.
feel that even if my dog is not suffering of a condition, you can send the dog to rehab to, get them shaved, keep that
Correct.
movement? Because I know that there are so many dogs that they are overweight
Yes.
or they are not as active as other dogs.
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
or probably if there is an older dog that needs to keep moving because,
That's right.
things
Because of
like
the
that.
age, the joints have issues. As I said, they get osteoarthritis like we do, and we certainly see that in older populations of humans. So there's a lot we can do to keep those joints moving and more flexible, and things like that as well.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, what are this what people or pet parents should keep in mind? Like in terms
What
of
to see?
what are the things like the keys that they have to see to identify that something is wrong with the dogs or that they actually need to take their dogs to rehab?
Okay. Yeah. So if people are seeing things, wondering when should they go to rehab or when should they give me a call, it's things like if the dog is having difficulty getting up from lying down, if the dog may be having difficulty jumping up onto the couch or off the couch or the bed at home. If sometimes the dog doesn't sit evenly anymore, and when one of the back legs will sort of sit out and they'll lean to one side. Things like that can represent the dog is having problems with its hip or having back pain, having different leg problems, if it's having difficulty jumping up and down. So there's some of the key things to look at. If the dog is having difficulty going up and down the stairs is probably another one, and they don't walk evenly, they'll start to bunny hop the back legs and scoop the back legs, things like that. So they would be some of the key things I think people should be mindful of. And if they see that, give me an email, give me a ring, and we can talk through it.
So my question for you, regarding the type of dogs, is there any particular breeds? For example, I know that the social dogs or the dachshunds, they have got short legs, and also they when they jump, sometimes they get injuries.
Correct.
Is there any other breed or any particular breed that you are seeing more that needs that
not particularly that I see more, but certainly there's some things that are quite specific to different breeds. So like the dachshunds, as you mentioned, they're actually prone to getting some spinal problems. So they particularly when they're young, like 3 or 4 years of age, they can get some spinal issues. Other dogs we see have different problems. The hip and gait problems, walking problems we see from the German Shepherds. Hip and elbow dysplasia, so when the elbows aren't fully bending and straightening, or the hips are sitting out when they're sitting, we commonly see in Labrador. So there's quite specific things we see to certain breeds with aging and genetic type developmental conditions. So
I know that for humans, when they go to rehab, you go to see a doctor, you get the rehab and everything, but you get some exercises to get done at home.
Yes. Yeah.
So you do that with dogs?
You
train humans as well to,
Correct. Yeah. So part of my service is assessing the dog, making recommendations on best practice in terms of what can help them with pain management. We use some different strategies around that as physios. And exercise is very much as a big part of what I do, and teaching the owner what they can do day to day with their dog, and showing them how to do that. And sometimes it's teaching them how to sit evenly every time you give them some food and things like that. Sometimes it's walking and getting them moving up and down over the step or over the curb. So things that they can bring into their normal day with their dog. And then providing them with some resources. There's some different YouTubes and online resources that people can look up and see little snippets of videos of dogs doing exercises and things like that.
Yeah. So what are some of the things, like, obviously you mentioned that You can bring your dog to rehab even if they don't have any condition. But what are the things that probably the parents could start doing since they have their puppies to grow? Like what sort of exercise and what things do you recommend for people to do it at home?
No, but come. It's okay.
He's excited.
He's
Exploring, yeah.
anxious, yeah. So yeah, things that people can do at home from a young age. A general fitness, keeping your dog fit and healthy is the key thing that people can do. So yeah,
So taking them
exercise,
for walks.
taking them for regular walks. Throwing balls and things are good, but sometimes as some breeds we want to minimize too much jumping up and down and catching them. So throwing the ball up and down, but throwing along the ground so they're not jumping and landing so much and twisting and things like that. So there's some ways to exercise safely with throwing toys and balls. And being safe with them when they're going swimming. A lot of dogs like water and going in the sea or the river or the swimming pools and things. So,
and some of them, I have seen that some people play with them throwing the ball. I feel like too far, and I'm like, oh my God, this dog is gonna, throw it. So, yeah.
And different breeds. It's knowing what breed suits your family. Getting the right breed for the person, I think, earlier on is quite important because different breeds need different exercise. There's no doubt about that.
So, for example,
What's wrong?
there are breeds like a Jack Russell, and he's jumping all the time. So, do you think that's normal, or should I control him and say to him, "Don't jump too much"? Or what sort of things like you would recommend in this case? If I have a dog that is jumping all the time, that's his personality, and
Yeah. Look, jumping is something dogs love to do, but
not all of them are safe as others.
Yeah, that's right. And it's how hard how high they're jumping and how hard they're landing and things like that. If it's like from soft lounge to the soft floor, this sort of height is not so bad, but if it's a big jump or a high car
or any sort of dog would be bad.
Well, not any sort of dog, but bigger dogs can obviously jump a bit higher and land a bit more safely from a higher car. So it's I'm not, I would give specific advice to the person and their dog at the time because a 1-year-old dog is different to a 10-year-old dog and their joints and so on. So it's about really giving a person or the owner and their dog something that's specific for that dog at that time of their life. It's not a recipe one statement for one dog. It will change as the dog gets older or the person changes and gets a different car that's much higher than the smaller car and things like that as well. Or they move house and they didn't have stairs and now they have stairs, or the stairs are no longer carpeted and now they're shining like wooden floors and they're more slippery or things like that. So sometimes they need some guidance around that. So some of that sort of guidance and exercise advice.
So Vanessa, we were talking about what are the things that pet parents could do for dogs. So is there any recommendation you can give to pet parents to make a better place for dogs to live? Like in terms of, like avoiding any sort of problems or things that may make them to get injured?
Yeah, I think the key things that I've learned along the way are minimizing how high they're jumping. So then sometimes dogs just, people throw the balls or the frisbee and make them jump really high. That's more at risk than throwing at a lower level. Sometimes people encourage their dogs to run up and down the stairs in the house, but we see some injuries from that, particularly if the stairs are slippery and not carpeted. There's some of the key things, and I think really it's about, some of the other conditions we see are just dogs don't get enough regular exercise, and I don't know the current stats on that, but I know Australia generally, we don't take our dogs for a walk enough, and a lot of people have a big backyard, but it's not necessarily enough. And dogs like that mental stimulation as well. They like to sniff the trees and the grass and things and play in the parks or walk along the beachfront and so on, wherever that they live. So that mental stimulation really is quite important as well. It's not just getting home from work and throwing the ball in the backyard a few times and wearing him out. It's taking him out to the environment and making that time and effort. So I think that's a really key thing, and yeah, keeping dogs to the weight that they should be, guided by the dog's veterinarian, what that dog should be for its breed, its age, its genetics and injuries at that time. Because like humans, we tend to overfeed ourselves a little bit in our society. We often overfeed our dogs and then not exercise them enough. So really a lot of things can be prevented from keeping them nice and healthy and an appropriate weight for that breed.
Yeah. So is there any minimum that we should walk our dogs, or it depends as well on the breed?
It probably depends a little bit on the breed and the age of the dog. But most dogs, really would benefit from a daily walk, at least one. Some of the more active dogs need a couple of good walks in a day. And how long is that walk, or how far is that walk, depends on the size of the dog. Obviously, a greyhound has got long legs, but we talked about dachshunds and their little legs, they obviously can't go as far. And it's really, being guided by the veterinarian as well. They're the overseeing physician of the dog. And I make recommendations underneath that, or more targeted to the condition at the time.
Yeah. And also, there are dogs that probably they will tell you, or you can tell how they're feeling about the walks.
Yes.
If it's too much walk, they will probably be like, I don't want to walk more.
They just stop, right?
They just stop. So I think it's as well of trying to see the signs of the pets and see how if they're enjoying. Obviously, there are dogs that don't like walking, right? So what do you recommend for those dogs that don't like long walks or walking at all? What sort of things do you recommend to those pet parents to do for them?
Yeah, good question. I think having that understanding, and the closer you have that connection or that bond with your dog, you can really read the language of what he is saying or he or she is saying in terms of their discomfort or their pain, or they don't like it. But things we know, dogs do like to walk. It's a natural and it's a survival thing. That when they're in pain or injured, or sick in some way, or they just physically can't, and they start to lose the control of their back legs, then they won't want to be walking. So it's understanding if they're getting to that point, they really need to be assessed by the veterinarian and or a canine rehab therapist. So it's understanding, why is my dog changed today? Why is he different from his normal attitude? So it's being in tune with your dog and like, some people, are with each other and their close family. It's having the same sort of understanding of when we know when they're not quite right, and acting on that, doing something about it. Yeah, not just saying, oh, he's just being lazy today. It's thinking, oh, that's not quite right. I need to get him checked out.
Yeah. Okay. So to finalize, so where people can find your services? I know that you have a new website. So what is their website?
Yeah, the website is just launching currently. It's strongerpaws.com.au. So that'll be coming live literally today. And my email's on that, vanessa@strongerpaws.com.au. My mobile's on there as well. So yeah, Facebook and LinkedIn is coming. It's just not quite there yet. So yeah, definitely look us up. Happy to have a chat. Happy to talk through fitness and exercise. Happy to do assessments for people if they're worried about their dog's movement and strength and so on.
Okay, so I got one last question that I want you to leave to the parents. If that will be one recommendation you want to leave to pet parents in general, what would be?
I think, treat your dog as your best friend. If your dog is injured in some way or gets some sort of medical condition, get him to your vet, get him assessed. And don't stop there. Give him the best treatment, because like in society now, we have good treatment, even in the public system, let alone private health and physio. We have good system and we have good treatment available for dogs, and getting them back to full capacity. Don't just say, oh, he's just old and he can't get up anymore. Give him the best. Look for the best treatment to get him back to full activity.
That's an amazing answer. Thank you so much, Vanessa, for being here.
Oh, thank you so
Love
much.
to have you here in Bali.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Buddy had a good
For all
time.
the recommendations, and hopefully everyone see the video that we are sharing with the training that you are doing for Bali and how it can help so many animals here in Australia,
Yeah.
in South Australia.
Yeah, happy to help them. I mean, there's so many. We just want to help them all have fun, happy lives and be strong and fit and healthy dogs.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Johanna. Thank you.
Introducing the new hands-free leash, made to keep up with your lifestyle. More freedom, more comfort, more fun together. Heading out for a walk or a run, wear it around your waist, over your shoulder, or just hold it in your hand. Whatever works best for you. After a game, a walk, or a surprise splash, you'll love our poncho towels. They're waterproof, super absorbent, and extra soft on your dog's fur. No knots, no fuss, just quick, easy drying.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Pawsome Companion. If you have any further questions for our experts, feel free to leave them in the show notes or reach out to me directly. And if you are a pet expert who would love to contribute to this podcast, we will be thrilled to hear from you. Don't forget to follow us, and if you enjoyed today's episode, we will really appreciate a 5-star review. Thanks again, and we will see you at the next episode.